The Magic Orange Tree, Senegal. Once upon a time in a small village in Senegal, there lived a poor young girl named Awa. Awa lived with her stepmother, who was very cruel to her. The stepmother made Awa do all the household chores, from morning until night, without a moment's rest. Despite this, Awa remained kind-hearted and hopeful, dreaming of a better life. One day, Awa was walking through the forest to gather firewood when she came across an old woman sitting by the path. The old woman looked tired and hungry. Awa, always compassionate, offered the old woman the little food she had with her. The old woman gratefully accepted and, in return, gave Awa a small orange seed. She told Awa to plant the seed in her garden and water it every day, promising that it would bring her great fortune. Awa thanked the old woman and hurried home. She planted the seed in a sunny spot in her garden and watered it every day, just as the old woman had instructed. To her amazement, the seed quickly sprouted and grew into a magnificent orange tree. The tree bore large, golden oranges that shone brightly in the sunlight. One day, our stepmother noticed the tree and its beautiful fruit. She demanded that Awa pick the oranges and give them to her. Awa reluctantly picked a few oranges and handed them to her stepmother. To their surprise, when the stepmother peeled the oranges, she found that they were filled with gold coins. The greedy stepmother was overjoyed and demanded that Awa pick all the oranges from the tree. However, when Awa tried to pick more oranges, the tree would not let her. The branches moved away from her reach, and the tree seemed to be protecting its precious fruit. Our stepmother was furious and threatened to cut down the tree, but Awa pleaded with her not to harm it. The stepmother reluctantly agreed, realizing that the tree might bring her more gold in the future. The next day, the stepmother tried to pick the oranges herself, but the tree's branches would not budge. She grew angrier and angrier, but there was nothing she could do. Awa continued to care for the tree, and it flourished under her tender care. The oranges became even more plentiful, and Awa found that she could pick them whenever she needed to. One day, the old woman who had given Awa the seed returned. She saw how well Awa had cared for the tree and was pleased. She told Awa that the tree's magic would continue to provide for her as long as she remained kind and generous. The old woman also warned Awa to be cautious of her stepmother's greed. The stepmother's greed grew worse each day. She was determined to get her hands on the gold-filled oranges. One night, while Awa was asleep, the stepmother crept into the garden with an axe, intending to cut down the tree. Just as she raised the axe to strike, the old woman appeared. She waved her hand, and the stepmother was frozen in place, unable to move. The old woman spoke sternly to the stepmother, telling her that her greed and cruelty would no longer be tolerated. She then turned to Awa, who had woken up and come to the garden. The old woman told Awa that the magic orange tree would remain with her, providing for her needs, but the stepmother would be punished for her greed. With a wave of her hand, the old woman transformed the stepmother into a statue. The statue was placed at the edge of the garden as a reminder of the consequences of greed and cruelty. Awa, though saddened by her stepmother's fate, understood the importance of kindness and generosity. Awa continued to care for the magic orange tree, and it continued to provide for her. She shared the oranges and the gold they contained with her neighbors and friends, becoming well-loved and respected in the village. The story of Awa and the magic orange tree spread far and wide, teaching others the value of kindness and the dangers of greed. Years passed, and Awa grew into a wise and compassionate woman. She married a kind man from the village, and together they had children. They taught their children the same values that Awa had learned: kindness, generosity, and the importance of caring for others. The magic orange tree remained in Awa's garden, a symbol of the rewards of kindness and the power of magic in the world. The tree continued to flourish, its golden oranges providing for Awa and her family for generations. And so, the tale of Awa and the magic orange tree became a beloved legend in Senegal, a story of hope, magic, and the triumph of kindness over greed.